Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Christy's Court on the Field of 68 Network. And we have a special guest today, and we go way back. Miss Nikki McCray-Penson, the head coach at Mississippi State University in the SEC Conference. Nikki, welcome to Christy's Court.
Thank you so much, Christy, for having me. And you're right, we go way back, way back. But I love seeing your love seeing your smile. I love your energy, and you just been such a big fan of mine, and I just appreciate you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, ever since day one, I mean, you brought so much passion and love of the game to the court. And where did that start? I mean, I know you grew up in Tennessee, obviously went to Tennessee and played for the revered late great Pat Summitt. But when you were growing up in Tennessee, was that a goal of yours to play for Pat Summitt at Tennessee?
Well, the love for the game started just with a challenge. My cousins challenged me, and I always, pride myself on, wanting to prove myself, and I wanted to prove to them that I was better than them. And eventually I did. And, Tennessee, home state. I mean, you got lots of great schools, Memphis, Tennessee, Middle Tennessee, up the street, you got some other schools, Ole Miss, Mississippi State. But we would go to Tennessee's camps, and I just fell in love with Tennessee. I fell in love with Tennessee because Pat was a disciplinarian. She told me what I needed to hear. It was not about me just being a basketball player. She was honest. She was a mom. And I can remember, calling her late at night after I came in from the park at 10 o'clock. And she would say, "Oh no, you don't call me after 10 o'clock. Most coaches didn't say that to me. They would just talk to me. But she constantly taught me life lessons throughout the recruiting process. And that was something that I needed. And I just respected her so much for that.
Oh, I bet. I mean, you had such an amazing career under her tutelage. And, you went to the Final Four in 1995 with her and just ran the gamut with so many great wins during your tenure there. But what was it that you take now as a head coach at Mississippi State? What was it that you will carry forward that Pat Summitt taught you, not just about X's and O's, obviously, but, the life lesson piece that you were discussing and the mentor piece and the disciplinarian piece? What kinds of things will you carry forward from that experience with her at Tennessee?
The biggest thing is, you win with people, and she would always talk to us about that. How you carry yourself is not about you. It is about the team. And you want people that are around you that are gonna tell you the truth, that are gonna compete with you and for you, not against you. But you win with people. And I've prided myself on associating myself with the right people. I am a product of Tennessee. My foundation of a big part of who I am started there, and my drive, to be the best that I could be, but also how you treat people. Again, it is about the people and, who you surround yourself with, how you build them up, how you impact them on a daily basis. And, I'm just so thankful that I was fortunate to be coached by Pat, and just the impact that she had on my life, and all the players that have played for her, and all the people's lives that she's touched. I mean, when you're around greatness, you remember. And I'm just fortunate that I had a chance to be impacted by her, but it is, you win with the people. So that's what I take.
Man, what a blessing. And I just got chills on my arm when you said that, because, just look at all the seeds that have been planted because of who she was and what she did for our game. I mean, it's truly amazing. And, it's simply a testament to her greatness, as you said. And, after you finished there at Tennessee, and, you went on to play for the Olympic team twice, in 96 and 2000, but you were also named to the President's Council for Fitness. How did that come about? And discuss the experience that you had with USA Basketball and what that meant, like opening ceremonies of all of that, standing on that stage, on that podium, taking the gold medal.
Well, I think when you play for a program in Tennessee and you're coached by, Pat, people follow success. We were very successful, and I just had to do my part, play hard, and do what I needed to do to help our team continue to sustain, success. USA basketball was something that I always wanted to be a part of, and I was fortunate to get involved in it at a young age. And when you're involved in that, it is a privilege, because it's not about you. It is about what you represent.
Yep.
And, to be able to represent not only myself, my family, but my teammates, but our country. And I was around great people. Again, people that are a part of my circle to this day. One in particular, Dawn Staley, who, I was able to, sit alongside her for 9 years at South Carolina. Mm-hmm. But being a part of USA basketball for 2 Olympics, World Championships is pretty special. You just develop so much, friendships. You learn a lot because it's the best players in the country that come together and they become your family. But it was great. We won it in 96 on our home court, and then we had to go in 2000 and win it on a contenders court. So America, we've dominated. We want to continue to dominate, dominate the game. But that was very special time for me.
Yeah, and no question about it. I mean, you won the 96 Olympics on home turf, like you said, in Atlanta, and then went to Sydney in 2000 and took care of business as well. But just the long lineage of success of USA basketball and how that was a spinoff for the WNBA, especially in 1996, when it was right there on the precipice of, the professional leagues. I mean, you played in the ABL and Columbus for the Columbus Quest for a season, but then with the WNBA right there being like just developed from that Olympic team, and you were a part of that. How special has that been to see the evolution of the WNBA from day one?
It has been amazing. And our Olympic team was a big part of that, just because you had all of these 12 individuals from great colleges come together and go back to their own respective colleges and play. And I thought America really embraced us, especially after winning the gold medal in 96. And for me, I had the pleasure of being the first player, a franchise player at DC, the nation's capital. A lot of things really happened there for me. We talked about the President's Council of Physical Fitness. We had the best fans in the country. I mean, it was amazing. The DC fans are fans that I still connect with to this day. They're constantly calling and checking and emailing me, but it's a special city, and to really represent that city was really beautiful. And I thought, our team, we played extremely hard, but we had a lot of great people that were on board. Being a part of the President's Council of Physical Fitness was something that was very special, for me in promoting physical fitness. So, my time, in DC was really special. But again, a lot of that came about with the success of our Olympic team.
Yeah, no doubt. And, President Clinton handpicked you. So that had to have been something that was truly an honor for that President's Council. But, you did spend time here in DC. I covered the Mystics. So I watched you and covered your team in the media. But with that being said, I mean, you went along and played for several seasons in the WNBA with Indiana, Phoenix, San Antonio, and then ended up in Chicago in 2006 was your final season. What was that decision like for you? Because I know as an uber competitor, it's tough to admit that, okay, I've got to move on to the next chapter. What was that decision like for you? And how hard was that?
It was hard. I think when you realize that you're coming to the end, and most highly competitive athletes, you don't realize that. But when you come to realize it, it becomes a beautiful thing. And I must say, even though I finished up with Chicago, I'll never forget when Sheila Johnson brought me back to DC and to give a farewell. That was a special moment for me while I was playing for, Chicago. That was
Right.
a beautiful moment because that's where it all started for me, in DC. But again, it's just, the fans are really, what made me and just allowed me to continue to play for a long time. That was the highlight for me. Not only was it competing night in and night out against great competition, against the best players in the world, but just really impacting, those fans and leaving a legacy in the different cities, that I played for.
Yeah, Sheila Johnson, Dr. Sheila Johnson, all class, and
Yes.
the owner of Washington Mystics here in DC, and that's super sweet. A three-time All-Star you were in the WNBA, and then you went on to coach. And what was that driving force like, and the decision to do that after finished playing? Was that something that you always wanted to do, or was that something that someone convinced you to do, or told you maybe to try it out, or was that something that you always had set in your heart?
No, I never had it set in my heart to be a coach. Right after I retired, I got into commentating like you. I did some side stuff with the Grizzlies. I did some stuff with NBA TV. So I'm thinking I am going to get into this field, just because I felt like my personality was there. And I'll never forget, I was, talking on air, and Dawn heard me talk about the possibility of maybe getting into coaching. And then she gave me a call and asked me if I wanted to come to Temple at the time. And I wasn't quite sure, if I really wanted to move into that next step and go to the city. But I had another opportunity where coaching came up at Western Kentucky. A good friend of mine connected me with Mary Taylor Cowles. And I just felt like it would be a great transition. It allowed me to stay around the game. It allowed me to be a dream merchant for young people. And I still was in my mind thinking that I was still I was a player, although I was retired. So I could still work out and be a coach / practice player, all of those things. But as I got into coaching, it became very fulfilling, and why I wanted to do this, to serve, to be a dream merchant, to help young people become the best version of themselves. And I haven't looked back.
Yeah, you haven't looked back, but boy, just looking forward from that moment of making that decision to be a coach. I mean, what a journey you have had as a coach. And you said it, you sat next to Dawn Staley for 9 seasons, won the national championship in 2017, and then turned around an Old Dominion program in the blink of an eye. I mean, you came in with an 8-22 record, and then flipped that all the way around to a 24-6 record. And you were named Coach of the Year in Conference USA that season before taking the position now that you have at Mississippi State. So when you went in to be a head coach for the first time, after playing with Dawn Staley and also sitting next to Dawn Staley and winning at the elite level, at the pinnacle in college basketball, the national championship in 2017. What was that like to then take the reins at ODU and then
I will tell you,
turn it around?
it was nervous. I was a little nervous. You always think if you're prepared. I'm so fortunate that, my 9 years sitting with Dawn, she prepared me for that. To be ready for that. Dawn has a way of keeping you on edge and making sure that, you're ready. I'm a person where if I'm prepared, I can give it to you. And she would always trip me up with things, whether I need to go work with the Post or this and that or whatever. So it allowed me to get outside the box and learn, the whole scope of being a coach. But the biggest thing is I'm a relationship type of person. I've always been that, even my time being a pro, just connecting with people. And that is the biggest part of it, is it's relationships. It is managing, it is connecting with young people, it's connecting with people and getting them to, believe in you. And once you get that, then you can coach them a certain way. But, jumping over 6 inches is hard, because now the responsibility is on you. You're managing 15 young women, being a mom, you worry about things, and you try not to worry, but you do. And that's an added stress and anxiety. But all you can do is just, continue to show them who you are through relationships, and vice versa. And then they learn who you are. So now they're not exposing themselves in ways to where you're going to worry. It becomes a mutual relationship to where they understand me, I understand them, and we make it work.
Right. And you said as a mom, I mean, you're a mom of a young, sweet boy, Tom. And how has that changed you in terms of being able to develop those relationships you were referring to?
You know, me being a relationship person, that's been very easy. It's the balance of being a mom and him having a bunch of sisters. But it's good. You know, it's just allowed me to have patience, you know, because when you're a mom, you know, you got to be patient with your child, because there's that look where I could say Thomas and he, you know, and then there's when you're on the coach and you're like, and you give them that look, but you also have to be patient with them, allow them to grow, make mistakes. But again, it comes back to, I can coach players a certain way when I have a great relationship with them. There's no disconnect there. It becomes, okay, I know where it's coming from because I know who she is as a person.
Exactly. And what kind of challenge and how have you been stretched because of the pandemic, not just the COVID-19 pandemic, but the social justice pandemic, if you will, and being a mom of a young son, as well as being a mentor and a gatekeeper for these young women, being disconnected through the summer? How was that? Because, I mean, you're a new coach to this program. And how was that in terms of really trying to ramp up that kind of connectivity that was taken away so suddenly?
Yeah, I think it was very hard coming into, you know, this program, and number one, trying to get the players to stay. Had to get through that part of it. I think they knew who I was just because of my name and I played, but that's this generation, they're not really watching basketball, you know, so you have to go a little bit deeper. And you have to, you know, talk with them and give them a vision of who you are and let them, the vision for them within what we're trying to do. I was very fortunate to bring in an outside couple to help with that. That was critical because I could not see them, you know, in front of me. And Zoom was new for me. And I didn't know how to have authentic and genuine conversations through Zoom. So I needed help with that, you know, and I needed experts to come in and navigate that. I thought that was really good because we did a lot of team buildings through Zoom, and I just wanted them to really buy into that and be open to that because they came to Mississippi State for a reason. Nothing has changed other than the staff. How do we learn each other? How do we, you know, build some trust and just build a connection? So that was my biggest thing, is connecting. Once we connected and everybody came back together in July, it was a little bit easier. And then, you know, again, the pandemic, the social injustice, again, just learning them. And obviously, you know, there's always a myth about, you know, Mississippi. And, you know, the thing that I was most proud of, you know, is the flag, you know, having a chance to go speak about the flag. And now the flag is no longer, you know, part of, you know, the Confederate flag is no longer part of the state. That right there was huge, you know, especially being an African-American woman, the first one here, and then things transpired. So just so happy to represent our state, represent our student athletes in that manner. And now it just evens the playing field when it comes to recruiting, but with everybody. But, you know, with our kids, we talk about social injustice. I think with COVID, everything that was going on, that was a lot for them, a lot for me as a mom, especially raising a son and a husband and being fearful. But, you know, you pray about it and, you know, you're cautious. And, you know, you just tell your team, you know, if there's anything that's of concern, we have to talk because we don't want to get on social media and vent. We provided a space for them. We still provide a space for them, but they know we could talk about anything. And that's the same thing with my family. You know, we just are aware and making, my husband, my son, we talk about those things constantly. And that's, at this point, that's all you can. You want to spread positivity. I don't want to be, there's nothing negative. I don't retweet anything negative. We just talk about things of how we want to be a part of the change.
Yeah, no question about it. And the WNBA has been extremely huge in that regard, in terms of being that change that you want to see. And also in the SEC, for 7 African-American women to be at the helm and on the sidelines, and to show that representation, not only to the players who are being coached in the SEC by these 7 dynamic African-American women who are powerful, who are leaders, who are mentors. How important is that kind of representation by the 7 African-American SEC, the only conference in the country with that kind of dynamic, but also for the WNBA to have the voice that they had over the past season, as well as the NBA? What kinds of discussions do you have with the student athletes in terms of having that for them to see?
I think, for us, number one, the SEC having 7 African-American women, I think it just shows, where we are as a conference and how we, set that standard. As coaches, it's great. We still got a ways to go when it comes to administration. I think now when you see 7 African-American women, when our young ladies see us, it gives them hope. Yes. That those that want to be a coach, anything is possible. Mm-hmm. And now you have great examples. And I think everybody wants us to do well. We work hard, we're smart, we're strong, we're beautiful. We have to manage a lot. I mean, we've been through a lot just because of who we are. Exactly. But they now have great examples. And we just want to continue to lead by example. We don't want to be anything different other than leading by, examples. But I think it gives hope to them. I think, what the WNBA and the NBA did and the message that they did and stood strong, I think it gave them hope, to just be able to, I am a student athlete, I am an entertainer. I have a platform. I'm going to use my voice to be a positive change, to bring awareness of things. And now you're seeing it, whether people are kneeling, people are taking their stance, they have a platform. And I think, the WNBA, the NBA created that, as well as, other things that are going on in the country. They are now seeing that now is the time for me to use my voice to create a platform for what I believe in, and to get people to support that.
Yes, no doubt. And obviously sports are what people do. It's not who they are. And I think it's so empowering to see this younger generation stand in their truth. And you all as coaches in the SEC in particular, being the 7 African-American women in charge of things and in charge of really allowing them to develop that voice. I mean, that is tremendously impressive, to say the least. And, I know you've been able to use your voice in other ways as well. There was breast cancer diagnosis for you several years back, but you could have tucked it under the rug, kept it to yourself. Highly personal situation that you were going through at that time. But what led you to share your journey through that battle, and how has that changed you as well in terms of using your voice just overall for many things?
8 years counting. My son will be 8. It will be 8, in November. But I've just, when you have been diagnosed with cancer, it's, sometimes people think it's a bad thing. It is a part of life now. And it is all in how you, tackle it. And for me, it is, how am I going to use this, to help me become the best that I can be? And I was very fortunate to have a great support system, but also because this is something that happens constantly. I mean, 1 out of 8 women get it. Everybody is going through something. So let me be an inspiration, or let me, be, someone could be going through what I'm going through, and to let them see that, hey, I'm a mom, I'm a coach, I'm a working mom, I have cancer, had cancer, it's in remission, whatever the case may be. I'm still living my life.
Right.
You cannot let cancer define you. We know that there's no cure. At the end of the day, how are you going to live your life? It's all about attitude. It's all about awareness and just letting other people know, hey, you're not alone in this. And that's always been my approach. When I found out I had a plan, I shared, with the world, because you can't do it alone. I don't want to keep that a secret. I need prayers, but I also know someone else has been through what I've been through. I had a sisterhood of cancer survivors that have gone through the same thing. And now you share doctors, treatment plans, all of these things, because we want to continue to survive and survive for a long time. So it's all about sharing information, because everybody has something and everybody is going through something. And you just want to make sure that, you're touching, the lives of people.
Yes. And God bless you on that. And I'm so thrilled to know that it's been that long and you've been in and you are thriving. You are thriving. And that's just so special to see firsthand. And with that being said, thriving, the Mississippi State program, I know that is it. This season has been so tough in terms of scheduling and, day of games, now we're not playing, and, everything is just upside down and so fluid, and you have to pivot. And I understand these are the buzzwords that are now becoming so popular, especially in sports. But how has it been for you as a coach to prepare for games that may or may not be played? And how do you keep the players engaged with what they need to continue to do to develop in their best way as a team?
We talk about, do we want to play? Yes. So we established that. The next thing we talk about is, now we can't trust anyone. If we want to play, then you can't trust anyone, family members, mates, whatever, you cannot. And then once we got through that, now we talk about how we're going to protect our bubble, our bond, our basketball, all of those things. So constantly talking to them about that is critical, because we're new, our staff is new, they're new to our system, they're new to our culture, they're new to everything. And in order for us to continue to grow and not be affected by COVID, we have to stay intact. We cannot be affected by COVID. Unfortunately, we have not been, affected, by COVID. And for us, we just have to stay, we want to stay in routine, because in a perfect world, we would be in 18 games right now. We're in 10 games. We need games. We need games. We need practices, because there's rules when it comes to when your team is affected by COVID. It pauses you. And because we're new and we're not experienced or a veteran team, that would hurt a team like us. And so we talk about that. I don't want them to worry. You can't worry about things you can't control. All you can do is control what you can. And we talk about protecting our bubble, staying safe, wearing your mask, wash your hands all the time. Can't let fear affect anything. Focus on our bubble. Can't trust no one. And if you keep that in mind, then you pretty much control the outcome of everything. And that's just everybody in our circle, our staff members, our practice players, all of those things, because if anybody gets it, it could take out, our team. But, mentally they are handling it for the most part. We have people that they talk to constantly when they're dealing with things. And I think we're fortunate to have sports psychologists, because again, that's not my area of expertise, but we have a lot of people that help our student athlete navigate, or as you said, pivot through this.
Yes, definitely a pivot for all of us, as parents and coaches and everything. So it's definitely been a challenge, but it's doable in a safe way, as you said. And let's conclude with this. Let's spin the tables back to when you were playing in the park with your cousins and you were trying to beat them and eventually started beating them. What would you say to a 10-year-old Nikki, or however old you were, a 12-year-old Nikki, looking back now, like what kind of advice would you give yourself at that age?
I think looking back now on the playground, just stay true to who you are. There's certain things that drive people. Challenges drew me. I knew I wanted to be a professional basketball player. Once I gave up track, I knew that. And for me, you have to continue to stay true to who you are and continue to work your craft every single day, and basketball was my outlet, and it allowed me to get a scholarship to Tennessee. I gave a lot to the game. It allowed me to be a 2-time Olympian, and because I gave so much to the game and I impacted those around me and people impacted me, now I'm in a position of where I am a coach. Now I'm able to impact. So just stay true to who you are and always, just develop your craft and know your why. Why do you do this?
Yeah, I love it. Hey, Nikki, I know why you do it, because you have an excellent mindset and you have a tremendous passion for not just the game of basketball, but the game of life. And we certainly appreciate the sliver of time you took with us today. A busy game day for you, so we appreciate this moment to share your journey on Christy's court on the Field of 16 Network.
Thank you so much, Christy, and Happy New Year, and I miss you so much.
I miss you too. God bless.
Thank you.
I hope to see you soon.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Love. Bye now.